Yep. Good morning, everyone. So, yesterday we learned about looping statements. Have you tried those examples? I asked you to write a program for printing diamond like pattern. Have you done? So, diamond like pattern. No? What I asked you to try one more pin program, verifying pin, right? You must able to do that by using which one? For loops, for or while or do while, right? Next, after understanding that, we have another important uh, iteration statements. So iteration is the process of reading elements from a collection in sequential order. So it is the process of reading elements from a collection in sequential order. It is used for reading elements from collection in sequential order. We can read in a sequential order, right? So what is difference between loop and iteration? The difference between loop and iteration is iteration doesn't require initialization, condition, and counter. It doesn't require initialization, condition, and counter. Generally, loop requires initialization, condition, and counter. Iteration doesn't require. So, syntactical here iterations are defined using for in and we have for off. We already know that, right? So in array, I already told you what is for in. For in can read all properties. What for off can do? For off can read all values. If you want to read all properties from a collection, then for in. All values from a collection, for off. Already we know while working with array, we'll discuss it. So we have to write for where property in collection name. Collection is nothing but array. Or you can write for where value of collection. Every value it will read from the collection and it will display. That is actually iteration. So already implicit iterators are there. Implicit iterators means for each, map, find, all these are implicit iterators. They are present as a member of array. We learned array map. We learned array related for each. They will read in an order. Next important is these no need to explain. Already we learned about them. Already we used while working with array. Another concept is jump statements. We will see both combination. Jump statements we have number one break, another one return, another one continue. Already we know break and return. We discussed break and return. What is difference? break will stop the block, but still continues the compiling. Return will stop the compiling and exits the block. Continue. Continue actually, it is used to skip the iteration. It is used to skip the iteration. For example, what is break, return, and continue is, suppose we are writing for where I is equal to 1, I less than or equal to 10, I plus plus. That means it is reading and printing the values from 1 to 10. But I am writing here a condition. If I is equal to 5, then what should happen? Break. We are giving break. And we are writing document dot write I. So what does that means? It means that, what does it means? It means that when it reaches 5, it will stop. Actually, it have to print how many? 10. But when it reaches 5, automatically it will stop. It will not continue. That means it will print only 4 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4. When it is reaching 5, it will stop. That is actually the break option. Break option. So the output for this is, it will print what? It will print 1, it will print 2, it will print 3, and it will print 4. So it is not going to print 4. It is not going to print 5. It is going to stop. When it reaches 5, it will stop. This is what break is. Suppose if I given the same here example, suppose we are giving here same, instead of break, if I use continue, then what happens is, it is going to print like this. Output, it will print 1, it will print 2, it will print 3, it will print 4, it will skip 5, and it will go to 6. And it will print 7, so, and 8, 9, 10. That means what is continue? Continue means skip the counter. That means when it reaches the matching counter, it will skip the counter. Skip the counter means it will ignore and go to next. Break means stop there. Continue means skip that particular counter. That you can manage by using continue, right? So for example, can we skip more than 1? We can skip more than 1 depending on what condition we are writing in if. Suppose I return if I is equal to 5 or I is equal to 8. Or means it will match with 5 as well as 8. So that means it is going to print that. So for example, see now, here we are defining, yeah. I am writing a simple here condition, yeah. I am writing for where I is equal to 1, I less than or equal to 10, I plus plus. Document dot write the value of I, break. Now this is a simple program to print all 1 to 10. Now what should happen whenever it reaches? Whenever it reaches 5 and 8, it should skip. Then what we will do in the logic, we write a condition. If I is equal to 5, or we are using I is equal to 8, right? Then what we do? Continue. Like this we define. Right? 1 second. Yep. So see here now how we define this when we run I is equal to 5 or I equal to 8. So we refresh and you can see when it is 5, it is not printed, 8 is not printed. That means it is going to print 1, 2, 3, 4. And whenever 5 comes, it ignores 5. It skips that 5. And whenever 8 comes, it skips that 8. Continue is used to skip the counter and continue to the next. For that, you can use this continue. Actually, it is very good in handling several interactions. You remembered I asked you to try checkboxes. In shopping application, I asked you to try checkboxes. In checkboxes, what you can do? In the checkboxes, we can define minimum these 2 categories. You select only those 2 categories must display. 3 categories you selected, only those 3 categories must display. So actually, if there is a collection here, suppose products. Products is an array. In that array, we have every product have a name and it have a category. Category is electronics. It may have so many other details. We have name, suppose some casuals, and category is here I defined some Nike casuals. Category some footwear, and here name and mobile, and the category is electronics. Like this, we are having some details: name, some shirt, and category is fashion. Now, what I want to do is I want to read all the products, but ignore footwear. Wherever footwear comes, skip footwear. Not only at one place, it can be at several places. So name is boots and the category is footwear. Wherever footwear comes, I want to skip that footwear. That means now I will write here for var item of what is the collection products. What of is going to read? It is going to read all the values. And here we write a condition. If item dot category is matching with what? Footwear, then what should happen? Continue. That's it. That means wherever item category is footwear, skip them. and document.write print other item name. I will print all other item names. And you can see it is going to print only the products TV, mobile, shirt. I want to skip the fashion also. That means you can write item dot category is footwear, or item dot category is equal to what? Fashion. That means now it will get only electronic products and show. That means wherever that comes, you can skip. You can ignore that counter. That you can do by using what? Continue. So these three are the jump statements we are having. These three come under jump statements. Right? What are the jump statements? Break, return, another one, continue. Right. Next, after understanding jump, we have exception handling statements. Exception handling statements. These exception handling statements are actually nothing but generally they are not very important for JavaScript with HTML. Generally, exception handling is very important. But JavaScript with HTML, we don't need much. Why we don't need, I will show you. What is the point? What is exception handling means? Generally, in computer programming, in any computer programming, two types of errors occur. Generally, two types of errors will happen in computer programming. One we call compile time errors, compile time error, another runtime error. We have two types of errors, compile time errors and runtime error. What is compile time error? Compile time error is nothing but you written some wrong syntax, you written some wrong words, keywords, then your program will not run, it will fail. That is compile time error. That means now what we done here, I given, so let's open the debugger, inspect, open the debugging tools. In the debugging tools, what we are doing, so in the debugging tools, here what we are doing is we are dealing with, in the debugging tools we are dealing with this for as far. I am using far. That means keyword mistake. There is no such keyword. Then refresh, then it shows an error. It shows an error. This is called compile time error. If any compile time error occurs, your program fails to compile. It will not compile. That is called compile time error. And output will never come. Output will never come, right? That means program is not compiled, output will not come. So compile time errors are syntactical errors. Syntactical errors. TICL. Yes, syntactical errors are syntactical errors due to which a program fails to run. A program fails to run. These are compile time errors. Syntactical errors due to which the program is going fail to run. Actually, runtime errors occur at the runtime of application. At the runtime of application, program executes successfully, but fails to run certain statements at different situations. Due to which application terminates. Due to which application terminates. So runtime error occur at runtime of application. That means program executes successfully, but fails to run certain statements at different situations. Due to that, what happens? Application terminates. But actually, that doesn't happen in JavaScript with HTML. So that is the reason we don't need exception handling. Why other technology people need that? Because their programs will terminate. That means what is meant by runtime error? Let's see. Runtime error is nothing but I am writing var x parse int and prompt enter x value. So var y parse int prompt enter y value, x value, y value. Now here we are writing like, so var result is equal to x/y, x divided by y. Now document dot write, I am giving result is equal to whatever the value of result is. Now I will run this program. When I run this program, it compiles here successfully. Compiled successfully, it is running. I entered 20. Y value is 5. And the result is 4. There is no problem. But I entered x value 10. Y value 0. Generally, in mathematics, you cannot divide anything by 0. Then what happens? Some statements successfully executed. In different situations, they successfully executed. But in some situations, it cannot. Now, when you pass 0, compiler cannot understand, because compiler cannot divide anything by 0. Then if it is C++, Java, .NET like programs, what happens? The program will suddenly close. The application will suddenly close. Suppose you opened application. You are working with application. Something you done which is not understandable to compiler. It will not show any error. It will simply close the application. That is called abnormal termination. That means you are using the application. It worked for half an hour. Suddenly it closed now. That is called abnormal termination. That means in other technologies, it will close the application. But now in JavaScript, it will not close. I click OK. Even you divide by 0, it will show simply infinity. Is application terminated? Application is not terminated. Then what we need now? we don't need any exception handling. Exception handling is required when we use JavaScript independently with other technologies. Like when JavaScript is used with Node.js, it is used with Angular or other React like technologies. There you can write exception handling. But when you are dealing with HTML, it is useless. Why it is useless? Because even you write exception handling, it cannot track the problems. That means browser don't have a library that can track what is the problem and report the problem. Even you use exception handling. I will show you that also. That means first point is exception handling. Exception handling is required to avoid abnormal termination. Exception handling is required to avoid abnormal termination of application. Abnormal termination of application. So the statements are, we have try, we have catch, we have throw, and we have finally. Try is called monitoring block. Catch is called handler block. And throws the exception. And executes statements always. It executes the statements always. Means exception handled, exception not handled. In every situation, it will execute the statements. We have try, we have catch, we have throw, and we have final. So that is exception handling. So exception handling related statements we will write now, and we will see whether it can handle this problem or not. Generally, in other technologies, what exception handling will do, they will identify what is the problem and they will report the problem. That means they will tell that you cannot divide by 0, right? So dividing by 0 cannot be done. It will show that message. But see here, what is monitoring block means here, we have to write the statements that we want to execute. Which statements we want to execute? These statements we want to execute. So we will put all the statements in try. The statements you want to execute, you have to keep in try. So how many statements are there in try? 4 statements are there in try. If any one of these 4 statements fail, then catch. And catch is a method which will catch the problem. What is the problem? We call it as exception, EX. Any name you can give. It will catch the exception. So after catching the exception, that means it will catch the problem. After catching the problem, it will report. That means the problem information is present in exception. We will print it. Document.write what it is? Exception. We are writing the exception. After that, what we will do is we will write finally. Finally contains the statements to execute always. Always means exception handled or not handled. That means document.write, I will give some program end. Something like this I define. Now see what happens is this time we are using exception handling. Okay. I am entering some 20. I am entering 4. The result comes and program end. That's good. It is working fine. But I entered 20 and divide by 0. Usually it cannot divide by 0. Then it should show the exception message. It will not show anything. Again, infinity and end. Then what is use? There is no use of exception here. That what we have to do, we have to throw the problem and we need to catch the problem manually. That means what we have to do is here we have to write a condition. If y is equal to 0, then what should happen? Throw a message saying that cannot divide by 0. Throw this message. Now catch will catch that. What is the use of this? Time waste. You can just put alert na. You can say that if y is equal to 0, put an alert. You cannot divide by 0. Why you are throwing, why you are catching. This is good if there is a error library. Because if there is a error library, that library will throw the error and our program will catch. Such libraries are not present in browser. Currently, we are using JavaScript in browser. But when JavaScript is used independently in separate technologies, in those technologies, they have error library. That library will report the problems and our JavaScript can catch the problems. But in browser, such library is not there, so it is not required. Exception handling, we will not see developers writing with HTML, but we will see these people writing while working with other technologies, especially while using JavaScript. See now, I am throwing now. Now let's run. Enter value 20, y value is 0, then it throws the exception. Cannot divide by 0 and program end. So this command divide by 0, I will use break. Okay. That means now I entered some 20 and 0, cannot divide by 0. That means what is use? It is better to write simple condition and put some alerts or some message. You don't need try, catch, all these. If you have to throw, you can throw multiple errors like if y is greater than x, then throw another message. What is that message? Is number is too large. Number is too large to divide. Something like this. And these are all options. That means now see here, I entered 20 and dividing by 60. That says number too large to divide. If you entered correct number 30 and 2, then it will display correct result. If you try to divide by 30, 0, cannot divide by 0. All these messages are designed by us, right? So even exception handling statements are there. We will just learn and keep them aside. We don't use them with HTML. But later they will be useful when you are learning other JavaScript technologies. There you can implement this. But there also, there must be a library called error handling. That means error handling library must be there. If that library is there, it can catch the errors and report the errors, right? This is example for exception handling statements. Try, catch, throw, and finally. These are all different types of statements we are having in JavaScript. So what is summary? So we have selection statements. Selection statements if, else, switch, and case, and default. We have looping statements. Looping statements for while and do while. And we have iteration statements. Iteration statements for in and for off. We have jump statements. Jump statements break, return, and continue. We have exception handling statements. Exception handling statements, we have try, catch, throw, finally. These are exception handling statements. These are all the statements we have. So, different types of statements available. Right, that is how we can define the selection, looping, iteration, jump, and exception handling. So this is exception handling statements. Next, after understanding statements in JavaScript, we need to know about JavaScript functions. We need to know functions. Already we are using functions, but we need to know detail about functions now. So generally, what is the purpose of a function? What is the use of a function? Generally, functions are used for reusing the code. You can write some code and put in a function so that you can call and use from any location. We can reuse the logic. That is general definition. Generally, functions are used in reusing the code, reusing the logic. So actually, technically, how we define a function, how we define function. First thing is actually function is used to refactor the code. Function is used to refactor the code. That is the technical word, refactor. What is meant by refactoring? Refactoring is nothing but refactor is the process of bundling a set of lines, and extracting into a function or file. Bundling a set of lines, that means you can combine some set of lines and you can store into one function or into one file. This mechanism is called as refactoring. Actually, refactoring is a technical word. For example, see here, suppose I am having any JavaScript file. Let's take a new demo.js. It's a JavaScript file. In this JavaScript file, I am writing for where I is equal to 1, I less than 10, I plus plus. Document dot write I br. This is some 3-4 lines code. I want to use this again and again. So many times I want to use it. Then instead of writing again and again, we can keep it in a function. See how I will select these lines. After selecting the lines, right click on those lines. You will find a word called refactor here. When you right click on those selected lines, you will find a word called refactor. And when I select this refactor, see what will happen. When I say refactor, when I select refactor, and in this refactor, it is asking, do you want to extract to a file or a function? We want to extract to a function. It is asking which function name. Some print numbers, that is the function name. It will create a function for you. And it will call the function also for you. This mechanism is called refactoring. All these days we are doing that manually. That means what we are doing, if any set of functions we need again and again, we are not writing again and again. We are just creating a function and we are calling. This mechanism is called refactor. Technically, we call it as refactoring, right? So, what is the purpose of function? It is used to refactor the code. Refactoring means bundle set of lines and extract into a function or a file. What is the advantage of that? So you can reuse the code without rewriting the code. So we can reuse the code without rewriting. That is the main concept of functions, refactoring. Now, how to write a function? That means, so a function can be defined in two ways. A function can be defined in two ways. Number one, function declaration. Another one, function expression. Function can be defined in two ways: the function declaration and the function expression. So function declaration and function expression. So you have the two ways in a function. Now what is difference is, actually function declaration syntax will be like this. This is for function declaration. Function declaration syntax will be like this. We have function, keyword, and name, and we write the functionality. That is called declaration. We have a function keyword, we have a function name, and we have the block, right? Next important is we have another one is function expression. Function expression, right? Function expression is generally function expression is like this. We defined some constant, some name is equal to function. Like this we can define. This can be constant, one functionality, or it can be var, or it can be let. Sometimes we use constant. You know, constant means you cannot assign again. If you want to assign again, then we can use var or let. This is also a way of defining function. This is called function expression. What is difference? What is difference between declaration and expression? What is the usage difference then? What is the difference of declaration and expression is, in declaration, memory is allocated for this function, and in that memory, only that function can run. Only specific functionality can run. But in the second case, memory is allocated as a variable. When memory is allocated as a variable, in that currently this function is working. Later, another function can work. That means the functionality can change in an expression. But declaration have a standard functionality. The functionality can change, but there the functionality will be same. That means you see now here, I am writing so a simple function, right? Let's add a simple functions.html. Here we are adding a script, a simple script we are defining. Now in this, what we are doing is where I will have a option here, status. Status is a function. This status function contains a message document.write. So here I will define as program, or say verifying password status. Verifying password status. That is the functionality it is having. Okay. Now we will have another variable called some password. And we have some prompt, say enter password. We are giving enter password. Now we will write a condition. If password is equal to what we are expecting, admin, that should be password. Then what we will do is in the status, we will put a function. This function have a different message saying that password verified successfully. This message will come. If not else, what should happen? In the status, we will have another function. So document.write, in this it will say that invalid password. It will define that. That means in the status, the function is changing. In one situation, it is using some success messages. In another situation, it is showing some error message. It is not only one line. There can be complete functionality change. Complete functionality change. That means now status is a function expression. This expression will be changing according to situation. That means what we will do is, here we will write one more. I will write another condition. Another if here. If a password is equal to null. Password is equal to null. Then so status we will put like this. We will call status. So verifying password failed, right? Actually here or we will put a message, please provide a password. This message we will give. If password is null, that will run. Else this will run. Else this logic will run. This is the logic that runs if it is not matching. That's what it has to do. That means what should happen now here, and it should print the status. That means we are printing the status. After defining the status, what to do? You mentioned the status. After mentioning the status have to run. Here also the status have to run. That means now what we are doing, so we can keep that status outside. Outside here we are calling the function. What is the function? Status. We are calling the status function. That means when we run this here, I run this here, it will ask enter password. I click on cancel, then it should display some message. Cancel means null, na? Where it is having that password is returning null. Check that once, inspect. Some error is there. Console. Status is not a function here. Where is it? All this function should be in one function. What is it? Status. Another one, status. Admin. It is why it is not a function actually. We need to call it like a function. Somewhere the problem about that is, yeah. Where it is having the issue, enter password, status is defined. This have to execute. Why it is not executing everything? Anything we missed? Check once. Status function we return correctly only. First, I will check this. Status. It is having is a function only. Is having the function. Acha, which is printing that message. Say some return, please. Right. Is a function. It should accept that. Let's check here. Actually, this should work. Somewhere we are missing. It is working fine. Only the point is independently we are trying to access this logic without any block. Without any block, we are trying to write a function. That is the problem, right? It's okay now. So here we need to put the logic, all this. So this is the logic. It should be there inside the function. It's okay. So I will give you one more time cleanly. What we have to do is, because we are writing a function expressions currently we are writing only script, right? In a script directly function expression will not work. So we have to put a function in some f1 is the function and call this function f1. In this we have to write the functionality, right? What is the expression? Where? What is it? Status. What is the status function? Status function is nothing but what it should do. It should display a message, document dot write. What is the message? So please provide password. That is the option. We will ask password. How to enter password prompt. We will say enter what? Password. Here we will write condition. If password is equal to null, then what should happen? The status should execute. Directly status should execute. If it is not null, then what should happen? Into the status, we need to put a function which print a message. What is that message? Message is nothing but, so here again condition. So here again condition. What is it? If password is equal to what? Admin. If password is admin, what should happen? Status should put a message. What is the message? Is it will put a function document dot write password verified successfully. This message will come. Otherwise, what should happen else? Else in the status we will put a function. Which function? Document dot write. So it will display invalid password. Like this we are defining. And we need to call that status function at the end. We have to call the status function at the end. So usually when we run this, so we cancel, then it says, please provide password. It is asking, please provide password. 2 times it is doing, because I am calling here also, right? If I am not calling here, then what will happen? It will provide only once. Cancel, please provide password. If it is admin, it will execute this status here. If not, it will execute this status here. That means now you entered password wrong, then it will say invalid password. You entered the password correct, then it will display verified successful. That means how many memories are allocated for all the 3 functions. For all the 3 functions, only one memory is allocated. That memory name is status. That generally to handle 3 functions, we need 3 memory. One memory for success, another memory for failure, another memory for null. Now we are handling all the three functions using one memory. This is the advantage of a function expression. That means if you are dealing with separate functionality, then function declaration is good. If you are dealing with a functionality which can change according to situation, then we have to write function expression. The difference between function declaration and function expression. Function declaration allocates memory for a function and it will keep the same functionality everywhere. But function expression will allocate memory where the functionality can change. That is the difference between expression and declaration, right? So declaration is nothing but function declaration. Declaration allocates memory for function and keeps the same functionality across multiple requests. Function declaration will do the same. Function declaration allocates memory for a function and keeps the same functionality across multiple requests. So another one, function expression allocates memory. So where the functionality can change according to state and the situation. You can reassign various functions into an expression. You can reassign various functions into an expression. That is what function expression is. So functions can be defined in two ways. We have a declaration and we have an expression. So example for declaration. Simple. Function, some print numbers. We have for where I is 1, I less than or equal to 10, I plus plus, and we have document dot write value of I and close, and we have to call print numbers. We have to call that. If I call that print numbers again, it will print the same numbers again. Any number of times we can call. This is declaration. That means always it have the same work to do. It is going to handle the same functionality every time. Functionality will be same. Now, what is expression is expression. Function expression. Just now I given here. I will copy this. This is function expression. That is the function expression. Later it will be helpful in different ways. For example, suppose we want to design a simple operation. Let's see. So we will put a script. We have a function f1 and call the function f1. In this we have var. We have calculator. Calculator is a function. This calculator function takes a and b. The calculator function is going to take a and b. And usually it will return a plus b. Like this it will do. That is going to handle that functionality. Return a plus b. What is returns and all I will explain. or you can write like this temporarily, because later you will learn return keyword. Write addition. Addition is equal to a plus b. So by default, what calculator is doing addition, but I want it to do different functionalities. Then what we will do is we will ask operator. Here we will put a prompt saying that, so enter operator. Operator is like we will put here plus, minus, or slash, or asterisk, like operators we will give. That means we are just giving a hint, enter these operators. Now what we will do, we will write a switch. What is that? So into that we will pass the operator. We will pass a case. If case is plus, what should happen? If case is plus, then what we do? Calculator. Into the calculator, what we have to do? Calculator is a function. Into that we have to pass two values. Here, your wish. You can pass some standard values, or you can enter the values for A and B. That means I will enter prompt. Actually, this need to be converted into number. That means we will use parse int. So prompt, and we will say enter a value, right? And here, comma. What is the next one? Parse int. We will define prompt. Which one? Enter b value. Like this we are defining. After configuring that, what should happen here? The functionality should change. That means here directly it will print break, because calculator is already having which functionality? Addition. And you have to just pass A and B, it will print addition. After that it will stop. If the case is different, if the case is minus, then what should happen? Then into that calculator we add a function. Into the function we will take A and B. What we will do? We will print document.write. Document.write what? So we have to print subtraction. Subtraction is equal to what? A minus B. And we will call the calculator and pass these two values. That means we will pass those two values into it. And another point is, this function, this line requires everywhere. This line requires everywhere. Then I can remove and I can write a separate line. What is that function? The function is print. Print result is the function. In that line should be there. That means now what I can do? Here we can directly call which one? Print result. So here also after that we have to call which one? Print result. Like this we can handle. This is another technique of defining the function expression. Now you write another case, right? What is case? Multiplication, division, values. That means depending on what operation they are entering. Suppose I given plus operator, then okay, value 20, value 10, 30. It will present that operation. Suppose I given here subtraction, enter operator 20 and 10, it's a step. It can perform, it can change the functionality. That is what actually the advantage of function expression. I written two operators, you can write others. You can write all other operators. This is another example for the same concept, right? That is function related expression and function declaration. Next important, So we have parameterized functions. Actually, a function can be parameterless or parameterized. That means without parameters, with parameters. That means we have a function, name, and empty. This is parameterless function. We have function, name, and parameter, and we have some functionality. Now this is parameterized. What is the purpose of parameter in a function? What is the purpose of parameter in a function? Don't say pass value. What is the role of parameter in a function? What a parameter's purpose is? What is the purpose of a function parameter? The purpose of a function parameter. What is the purpose of function parameter? The purpose of function parameter is generally parameters are used to modify function. They are used to modify the function. That means, so parameters are used to modify a function. They are used to modify a function. That is the main purpose actually. So generally parameters, without parameters, a function will do the same functionality every time. By using parameters, we can make the function to change accordingly. That means, for example, see here, we are writing a function, print numbers. It's a function. And here we have for where I is equal to 1, I less than or equal to 5, I plus plus. Document dot write I. So now I will call this function print numbers. How many numbers it will print? It is going to print 5 numbers. Suppose later I want to print 20. Then when I call this function, it will print 5 only. It will print 5 only now. I will call this function again, print numbers. Again, it will print 5, 1 to 5. That means for printing 20 numbers, will you create another function? One function for 5, one function for 10, one function for 15, like that? No. Only one function should be able to change. Only one function should be able to change. Then what you can do, into the function, we can define parameter. Parameter has, suppose, how many. That means how many you want to print, tell. That how many will contain a value. How many you want to print. That how many we will use here. How many. Less than or equal to how many. I less than or equal to how many. That means now what happens? Whenever you call print numbers, into that you have to pass how many. Suppose I pass 4. Then what it will do? It will print 4 numbers first. Second time I am passing some 8. Then next time it will print 8. Next time I am calling the function again, print numbers, and I say 10. Then it is going to print again 10 numbers here. That means it will change. So what a parameter is doing? it is modifying the functionality. It is modifying the functionality. Otherwise, it will do the same function. So we want the function to change according to the requirements. Then we can change the functions by using parameters. Parameters can modify the functionality, right? That is the advantage of parameter. So a parameter allows to modify the function, right? Now here, this is one example. They are used to modify the function. So this is the example like this. Here, one important point is that when you write syntactically function, function name, and parameter, here I am calling the name and we are passing the value into that parameter. Now what happens? The parameter is equal to value. Whatever value you pass, that is assigned into this parameter. This parameter is called formal parameter. That is called formal parameter. The parameters that you define in the declaration, they are called formal. While calling the function, you pass the parameters. They are called actual parameter. We call actual parameter. That means the formal parameter is assigned with actual parameter. That means whatever the actual values need to be sent into the function that you can define here. That is important, right? And here, this is two important options. The parameter formal and the parameter actual. So this is called function declaration. Function declaration. This is called function calling. Function calling. This is function declaration. And this is called function calling. Into the function declaration, whatever parameters we pass, those parameters are called formal parameters. Into the function calling, whatever values you pass, they are called as actual parameters. Now here, so many important points are there. A parameter can be any type. A parameter can be any type. It can be primitive type. It can be non-primitive type, or it can be even a function type. A parameter can be any type. Another point, you can define multiple parameters. You can define more than one parameter. Another point, every parameter is mandatory. Every parameter is mandatory to define in function calling. And parameters have order dependency in have So these are all the options we are having. That means these we have rating, all these we are having. Roughly I am giving. That means now document dot write, I need to print all of them. That means product ID. So we will bring it ID. In the next line, name. We will bring it name. In the next line, price. We will bring it here price. Available. Otherwise, what? Out of stock. I'm using a ternary operator. And we are using cities. Cities is an arena. Cities collection. It is an array type. Array type means I will put as toString. It will separate with comma. Now rating I am expecting as object type. Then what I will do here, rating dot rate. After that, so I will give rating dot count. Like this I am giving. That means what is the type of ID you are expecting? Number. This is string. This is number. This is boolean. This is array. This is object. Now see, whenever we pass details into the details, first one ID 101. Second one name, mobile. After that price, it's a number. After that stock, true or false. After that cities, array. We have some Delhi and we have Hyderabad. And after that object means curly brace. In that we have rating as 4.2 and we have count as some 4,500 like this. That's how we pass the data. And you can see that details is going to print all those details and display. What is undefined? Rating dot rate. Yeah, this is rate. So it is printing that rate and display. So that means what can be the parameter type? The parameter type can be anything. It can be a number or a string or a boolean or an array or an object. It can be even array of objects. We can have any type. This is multiple parameters. How we can define multiple parameters. In that, so many points are there. Advanced JavaScript have new concepts about functions. Function generator, function closure, function promises, function callbacks, so many. Those all we will see tomorrow. Right? In tomorrow's session, we will learn all advanced JavaScript concepts related to functions, which are mostly asked in interviews, right? That we'll see in tomorrow. Okay, right.